Michael Schellenberger once said, "Hypocrisy is the ultimate power move. It is a way of demonstrating that one plays by a different set of rules from the ones adhered to by common people." Ask any American where our uranium comes from. Most likely the answer will be, "I don't know." And that is the hard reality we find ourselves in today. The United States imports most of the uranium it uses as a fuel. The fact that uranium is the fuel most widely used by nuclear power plants. And the big question is, where does the US get a lot of its uranium from? A country that is supposed to be under sanctions. Can you guess which one? Today, we are going to do a deep dive into why both Russia and the United States are still allowing something as powerful and volatile as uranium to be purchased, even though publicly they have been at odds. My name is Dr. David Oualaalou, and you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict. Our sponsor today is TRAC Uranium. Owners and operators of US nuclear power reactors purchased the equivalent of about 46.7 million pounds of uranium in 2021. To put this in perspective for you, I am going to provide you with examples with hard data to illustrate the percentage shares of total US purchases of uranium. We purchased the following: 35% from Kazakhstan, 15% from Canada, 14% from Russia, and 7% from Namibia. Doing my research on this topic, I was surprised to learn that Russia's state-owned atomic energy corporation Rosatom has announced plans to start mining uranium in Namibia by 2029. Mind you, that Africa is known for its natural resources, including massive amount of uranium. Here is the big shocker. The Biden administration has imposed sweeping sanctions on Russia since Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, including eliminating preferential trading privileges and banning imports of Russian oil, liquefied natural gas, and coals, among others. So most Americans will be surprised to learn that Russia received nearly $1 billion for uranium products in 2021 and is on track to earn $1.2 billion this year. Uranium is generally used as a fuel to generate electricity in a nuclear power plant. So, despite what you hear about Western sanctions on Russia, it's not all true. For example, Germany gets most of its uranium fuel from Russia as we speak, which supplies more than a third of the global demand for enriched uranium. Germany's 3 remaining nuclear reactors run mainly on uranium from Russia and Kazakhstan. Germany also gets 34% of its oil from Russia and 53% of its hard coal supplies. So why nuclear power is back on the discussion table? Collectively, the European Union imported more than 60% of its energy in 2019. Of that, 47% of the bloc's imported coal came from Russia, along with 41% of its imported LNG, liquefied natural gas, and 24% of its imported crude oil. One thing is sure, nuclear power is an important source of low-carbon electricity, and that can contribute to attaining carbon neutrality. As a result, help to mitigate climate change, wrote Olga Algayova, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. This leads me to talk about today's sponsor of this video. TRAC Uranium, stock ticker TRCTF, is a Canadian exploration company. It is both uranium explorer and developer. TRAC's strategy is to generate, or acquire early-stage exploration opportunities and advance them towards development stage activities headed by an experienced team or by a business partnership and joint ventures arrangements. Traction's Uranium's current focus is exploring its 2 uranium projects in Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan. The company has phenomenal institutional shareholders, among which are Sprott Capital, Canaccord Genuity, and Research Capital. It involves institutional investors with 30% of ownership stake. But the most powerful part is that 55% that is owned by founders and strategic partners. It is very tight structure, which means that people who believe in this company are the shareholders. As to the project, they have projects on the Athabasca Basin, a good enough reason for it to be called Saudi Arabia of uranium. And if you know anything about Saudi Arabia, it is very rich in oil. The Athabasca Basin is known as the world leading source of high-grade uranium with about 20 times the average international purity. The technical advisor for the company, Belantan, was very instrumental in the 1975 discovery of the Key Lake uranium deposit in Saskatchewan, the region where Athabasca is. As a geologist, he oversees the delineation drilling of the deposits with the reserves of 200 million pounds in reserves. That's how much, by the way, the world spends in 1 year. What is also important to note is that Traction Uranium's Key Lake project is only 5 kilometers from that mill. This is the location where they are going to drill their project with a new sort of techniques, one of them known as Victorine technique. It is worth mentioning that the Traction Uranium research team has already discovered highly radioactive zones. When they brought back sample of the black soil, the analysis result showed high-grade uranium mineralization at 0.93%. Interestingly, there is another uranium company in the Athabasca reporting on a mega discovery. Their stock, by the way, went up 500% in 1 week. Very impressive, I would say. The reason I am mentioning all this is to highlight to you that with Traction Uranium, there is a high risk and high reward venture opportunity, especially if and when they can strike it big. The sky is the limit, as the saying goes. The company has the right team, the right structure in place, well funded, and knows exactly what needs to be done to achieve the goals. The company can go from a $25 million cap to something much bigger. So what are you waiting for? You can either invest in Traction Uranium, stock ticker TRCTF today, or let this opportunity slip by as demand for uranium is only going to grow moving forward. Once again, the company is Traction Uranium, stock ticker is TRCTF. Check it out. And remember, there is always risk in investments and there are no guarantees. Thank you.